How about you, Facebook? Got a request from one of the guys on one of the groups I frequent. Wanted to see what my saltwater mixing station looked like. I kind of have a different approach whenever it comes to RO water. Figured I'd share that as well. And while I'm here, might as well show the tank a little bit. So let's go take a look. Gotta love when you have technical problems. Anyway, so my mixing station is in a closet. And it has, it's actually Ace Rotomold tanks that I had gotten from Rural King probably about 6 months ago. Have the mixing station or the RO system up above it. Let's take a look. Wow, that's nice. We're just gonna skip the technical. All right. So I have the mixing station down below. Just a couple of true union valves with a pan whirled pump, which then comes up. And then depending upon which of these two valves you open, this one obviously goes to the hose. This one will actually recirculate in this tank. I'm going to be working on an automatic water change system here before too long. I haven't quite gotten to that just because things have been rather busy. So up above, standard BRS RO system, RODI. I think it's considered a 6-stage. Anyway, the Water Saver Plus. So what I did, I don't like TDS creep. I don't like sitting here and having to wait for the membrane to flush. As you guys know, TDS creep happens whenever the water's shut off. And basically, with RO membranes, what you're looking at is the water goes over that membrane faster than the solids, but the solids eventually will make it over, and that's whenever the solids basically equalize. So say you have 200 TDS water, it'll eventually work out to where it's 100 on one side of the membrane and 100 on the other if the water's just sitting in this canister right here. So what I've done, first, I did get the auto flush kit because I thought that would have been a good thing to do. Now I'm not sure I really need it. The other thing you might not see is the auto water shut off. And that's because I actually have it controlled, and ignore this part, by the apex whenever it comes on and off. And I have the apex wired in so that it can sense when the pressure drops. So rather than having this go directly to the power supply that powers the pump, I have it here on the line to tell the apex when to kick the supply water on. Then a couple seconds later, it kicks on the booster pump and it goes through the initial flushing cycle. Now, what I have done that I have not seen anybody else do is I tap off of, this is the output from the membranes. And normally ignore the additional stuff. Here's a TDS sensor. Here's a flow meter that I had on there. And it comes up and it goes to either, I have one valve set up to be my dump to drain so I can flush it for a while. And then it comes up. If I switch it to where it's at right now, it's currently set up to go to a faucet, or actually a water storage bladder underneath the sink, and then goes up to the normal faucet drinking water spout. Or I can switch it over and it'll go through the membrane and then down to whichever tank I have selected, whether I want to refill this tank or not. So what I had done, going back to the TDS creep part, sorry guys, all over the place. I took a line off, and it comes down and goes under, and it goes all the way over to that little pressure tank right there. So what happens is, as the system fills up, as this pressure switch gets to opening, it also fills up that pressure tank. And on the other side, this actually goes, let me see if I can show where it goes. This actually goes up to and tees into the output side of my water pump. So this line right here actually goes to the membranes, and this line right here comes down to here. And you might think, well, why did you do that? You're going to have constant water pressure on here. Kind of. So I have two check valves down here because one of them failed, not because you actually need two. What happens is, as it pressures up, as the fresh water comes out, the water from the pump can't make it into the product water. So the product water goes, fills that up, everything pressures up, and then the apex shuts off the water. So once the apex shuts off the water, then because I don't have that that auto shut off, basically everything drains out. All the pressure that's inside this drains off. So up here, this pressure is at 0 because at the end of this, that's where at the end of this is where my valve is, my valve that the apex controls, that solenoid valve. So this has no pressure on it. So the water coming from my tank that is purified RO water now can overcome the little bit of pressure that's left here, and it flushes out both of the canisters, because it's, what, 3 gallons? So in the time that we've been sitting here, I actually have 2 TDS meters. I kind of wish I had this set up a little better so you guys could see. All right. So this is on the inlet of my on my DI resin. This one, when you turn it on, it has the inlet of the whole system, RO membrane 1, RO membrane 2 output. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy with the 3 and the 2, but honestly, for as cheap as those are, I'm surprised it's that close. So I'm going to go ahead and normally, without flushing first, we should see this number jump way up, or we should see these two numbers jump way up. Because right now, I mean, they're reading the RO water that's been through the tubing. It's just sitting there. It's not reading this. It's not until water pushes through here that you would usually see that spike in TDS. So if I turn on, and I'm going to go ahead and turn on this valve right here, which starts going to my canisters, so you can probably hear that the apex opened up the valve, and the pump will turn on here in just a second. All right, there's our pump. So we do creep up a little bit at 8, 9 TDS. What do we have? Where's my other one? This one's still sitting at 3. But that one's starting to drop 8. What's the other one doing? Okay, so this is where water is actually flowing through the membrane. The auto flush valve just basically closed, so now it's actually going through that orifice, and it drops right back down. So the highest the TDS ever got or crept up was to 10. Before I did this, I was seeing TDS of about 100 or maybe even 120 whenever I would first kick it on. But that is more or less how I've arranged this system so that I don't have to sit here and wait for the TDS to clear and for the TDS creep to clear out. Anyway, I hope you guys found this information useful. My first live stream ever, so be kind. I hope to do more of these in the future, hopefully a little bit more polished than this one. Again, it was just kind of a response. Just take a look at the whole system again. My mix tank, I have just a couple of very cheap power heads down at the bottom. And comes up, goes into, I love Schedule 80 fittings. I don't like the standard bulkheads. Quick disconnect here, but for the most part, this is just RV drinking water safe hose, so I can make it a little bit further. And then on the other side, here's my tank. I have to reach about, I don't know, 10 feet to actually do the water change. Anyway, again, hope this was useful. Give me a thumbs up if it is. Please comment, share. I don't think I have a subscribe yet. This is just a live stream, but thanks much for watching.